46 goes immediately to the top of the bestseller list.
I mean, what does that feel like?
Oh, the whole thing was, okay, I'll tell you, want me to tell you my Oprah story? Okay.
Do you want to know? I want to know. Do you want to know? I want to know. Yeah.
Well, let me just say that I had never even fantasized about Oprah coming. I had friends who had, and it would like try to get inferences from the publisher about where that person lived and everything. But I didn't think that what I wrote was really her cup of tea. And so it never really crossed my mind. Anyway, on the day, I lived in Western Massachusetts, and I drove to Portsmouth, which is in New Hampshire, and is a good 2.5 hours away, to buy a dress. I can't tell you now why I had to go to Portsmouth to buy the dress. I can't tell you whether I bought it or not. But I was supposed to be home at 6 o'clock. This is before cell phones, or I didn't own a cell phone, either one. And I got carried away in Portsmouth, and I arrived home at about 8 o'clock, and my husband was standing at the back door. This is the good husband. He was standing at the back door, and he was fit to be tied. And he said, "You have got to call this guy. He is driving me crazy. He has called all day. I promised him you'd be home at 6. You weren't home at 6. You've got to walk to the phone and call him right now." So I said, "What's it all about?" And he said, "I don't know. It's about it's like something in Chicago, a literary something." So anyway, I went to the phone in my coat, and I called him, and he said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you called. My boss wants to talk to you." Bang. Puts the phone. I don't even know. I still don't know what it's all about. And next thing I hear on the speakerphone, this voice say, "Anita." And I said, "Hi." And she said, "I loved your book." And I said, "Thank you." And she said, "It's Oprah."
Hang up. I don't believe you.
Well, I don't actually remember the rest of the conversation except one part, which was really funny. But I mean, they tell you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do everything. But I thought at the time, once I heard that voice, I thought, if this is a hoax, they have gone to so much trouble, and this sounds so real that I'm just going to go along with it because it's just too much. So, but I do remember at the end of the conversation, she said, she wanted to talk about the book. She could care less about how excited I was. She wanted to talk about the book. And she said, at the end, and Catherine doesn't tell Maddie about the other children, and, I really don't believe in that. I think you have to be straight up with your kids and tell them the truth. And, it's like, fine, I'll rewrite the ending, whatever you want.
4 million copies later.
Yeah, and no, but she wanted to talk about the book. And the thing I write about, which, again, it's hard to talk about the plot if you haven't read it, but the thing that I write about in the book, she said, we are going to get hundreds of emails from people to whom this has happened. And I really thought she was off her rocker. I just thought, I don't think so. And they did. And instead of having the dinner like a lot of the writers did, what happened was they invited 4 women to whom this thing had happened, and they told their stories. And they were so unbelievable. I could not have, if I had written any one of them, no one would have believed the book. It just wouldn't have happened. And then I came on, and it was like, after that, who needs the author? It was like, they had told these heart-wrenching stories, and that's it. That was my story.
Congratulations, and it's a powerful book, as are the others. I have one little question, and then it's your turn. Why do you write about betrayal so much? Do you really believe that it undermines society as much as you suggest? Has it happened to you, or is there something exciting about people who break out of what they're expected to do?
Well, we're talking about two different kinds of
No
betrayal.
kidding. And I just made a big mistake there. I gave you 3 whole questions, but
You did.
You're great,
Yeah.
and you're so smart. I know you could handle them all.
Well, actually, I don't remember the second one.
Okay,
But the thing, we're talking about two different kinds of betrayal. One is the one in which you have a marriage, or a man and a woman who've made some commitment to each other, and one betrays the other. And
Did that happen to you?
Can we not discuss this?
It's just, but it's so profound. So obviously,
yes,
you
I know whereof
understand
I
it.
speak.
So
Yes,
you
I
understand
know
it.
whereof I
Okay,
speak.
let's move on. So
and
you
then
get
there's
it.
another
Okay.
kind of betrayal where it seems like betrayal to people around you, but really it's being true to yourself. It's taking the independent. I would say that a lot of the women in my books end up really on their own and really, I think, fairly independent.
Oh yes. Oh, more than independent.
Yeah.
I mean, extraordinarily.
I mean,
Wonderful.
things have happened to them. It's not that they've gone out and, invented a vaccine for cancer. It's just that things have happened to them, but they have found a way beyond it, or to try to understand it or something. It's hard. It's just, I just want to say, it's almost impossible to make generalizations about your own book.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, one shouldn't. And also that leaves us free to make sort of specialized decisions about your book so that they can relate to us. Questions. Let me just check the time. We have an important schedule to keep because we're all really busy. All right. Why are you laughing? Aren't we busy? We're busy. Okay. It's really important that you ask questions because otherwise it'll seem like I dominated and I don't want to have to deal with that later.
Actually, I would just like to say that I love answering questions.
Yes.
I mean, that's really one of the most enjoyable parts for me.
Because you're the people who read, right? Hi. Great.
Hi. One of my favorite books you've written is Sea Glass. I just love it. Partly because my grandfather was French Canadian and I grew up in Quebec. And I studied that period of history in university. So because there was so much historical research in it, I'm just curious how that book came to you. Did you do the research first, or did the characters come to you in that certain time?
Well, a novelist works exactly opposite to the way a scholar works. A scholar amasses a body of information, finds a truth in it, and then sets out to prove that or to write about it. For a novelist, story always comes first. So I have the story in my mind, and then you realize, well, it's 1929, they live in a city where there are a lot of Canadian mill workers, and there's a lot of strike talk going on, and so then you start researching it. And that is a very, very enjoyable part of writing the books. It's just, when you're on a hunt, every little thing becomes so important, and photographs are really the best thing of all. Photographs can help enormously.
Could you tell me one thing that you have that we don't have? Because we must see the same thing and we must go through the more or less same lifespan. But what do you have that we don't have? Only just one thing,
That's a
please.
good question. I think what it is, I don't have any different perceptions about people or human beings or situations. We all have them. What I have is a passion to create sentences and a passion to write stories. I'm addicted to story. I mean, I can't go to bed at night without reading something really good, fiction. I love stories on television. I follow certain series. I just am addicted to story. And I think it's that desire to write, to put it all down, to be inventive, and then, based on what we all, especially women, all know to be pretty universal experiences. That's the only difference.